So I hope everybody's well. What I wanted to do today was to record a video about resisting accepting what is. It's a bit of a continuation from a video I did a couple of weeks ago called Accepting Who You Truly Are. And it's come out of conversations that have happened since then and insights. One of the really interesting things that have been happening to me recently is that I feel like I'm being revisited by my past. So there's a lot of people who were following my work for years ago, and friends and what have you, who've just come in contact, and a lot of miscommunication and misunderstandings being sorted out, for which I'm really grateful. And you know, with some there's been that resolution, they've moved on, and for some there's a start of a new conversation. So it's a wonderful time, and there seems to be more and more of an acceptance of the role I'm playing in the world, and what I'm bringing to the world, and what I'm looking to speak about. However, it hasn't been without its resistance, and without sometimes just not wanting to go through the process that seems to be occurring naturally here. I had a beautiful conversation with a dear friend who was pretty much the first person to ever offer me an opportunity to appear on their website when I first started speaking about this in 2008. And what was really beautiful was, during the course of the conversation, I remember saying to him, God, I really wish I'd had this conversation back then. Because what happened is I'd recorded a load of interviews in 2008 and then freaked out, I suppose would be the best way to put it, and asked for interviews to be taken down, and got rid of my social media and what have you, and decided I really didn't want to do this work. Fast forward years later, and life brings me back, and what I've done is, despite my best efforts of trying to self-sabotage this, and as an interviewer recently said, you're talking about messing up, but the work keeps continuing. I've had to kind of come to that conclusion that I've been resisting accepting what is actually going on. And what seems to be going on is I seem to be talking about this reality called life. People are listening now, there's a group forming, there's plans to do events, and I wondered why that was. And I was just having to think about it earlier on, and I thought what I'd do is I'd record a video about it and really try and talk about acceptance and how acceptance is transformational. And although we know this, sometimes we don't want to accept. We hover just above acceptance. And the reason we do that is because I sometimes believe we really love our stories more than wanting to actually change or wanting to accept ourselves as we truly are. Or there are certain thoughts, and if we can take our time to examine those thoughts, or to look at those stories that limit us and prevent us from seeing who we actually are, we may find that we will just want to put them down. Or another way, which I found, is just literally sitting with that acceptance and allowing yourself to feel uncomfortable. The last couple of months, for those of you who follow my work, have been turbulent, to say the least. I have been literally saying to people recently that if you really want to know what's going on, just literally watch the last 6-7 videos, because there seems to be a narrative at play here of somebody who has really not accepted their role in the world, and really not accepted that, look, they're talking about this reality called life, but is now having to slowly but surely accept that. But that also means letting go of a lot of what is comfortable and what is familiar, even though it has been limiting at times and it has caused havoc in my life. And now there seems to be, I suppose the word transition is best here, a transition that seems to be happening, in which I seem to be coming out talking more about this reality, and really just accepting who I am and what I do. But as in all journeys, or as in all processes, it hasn't been without some insights, some dead ends, some complete moments of resistance. And like I said, what it seems to have done is, it seems to be bringing people back into my life. It seems to have created more engagement. I find I'm talking to more people. My social media seems to be getting so much more busier. However, as that's all happening, I'm seeing where I've been resisting, because there was a time I really didn't want to reply to comments. I really didn't want to talk to people. There was a time as well where I didn't really want to take the hassle of having to speak to anybody about this kind of stuff, or just making the changes in my life that I really wanted to make, but if I was really honest with myself, I didn't really want to make. And the acceptance has shown me that these limits that I've been putting on myself, and no doubt a lot of you hearing this will probably be able to relate to this, aren't real. However, they're there because they're comfortable and they're all we seem to know. And sometimes bringing something new into the mix can be downright uncomfortable. And accepting who you truly are can be very uncomfortable when there's been a lifetime of conditioning, when there's been a lifetime of stories and, you know, ideas and beliefs that we have put in place to keep ourselves away from being who we actually truly are. And one of those beliefs is that we believe we're separate. We believe we're this idea of individuality and separation, and this whole I am something or someone prevents us from really truly accepting and seeing who we truly are, which is this wholeness, this completeness, this infinite consciousness, this beingness. But from a viewpoint that's very practical, allowing us to see that what's being pointed to isn't something conceptual. It's actually living reality. And as such, I think that's why there's a resistance in accepting it, because who are we then without our stories? Who are we to live these brave, empowered lives? You know, the last, 7 years have been a roller coaster. And what I find now is that there seems to be more ease. You know, the insights, as there's more acceptance, seem to lessen, and there seems to be a stepping back and really seeing that it's not just one aspect of my life, that life is multifaceted and there's different aspects of that. And in that sense, what it allows us to do is to really appreciate life for what it actually is. And consequently, I found it's really helping my work as well, because it's providing a constant self-inquiry. It's providing, you know, there was a beautiful comment left on the video this morning, and it really made me think. So we then find that there's a constant inquiry going on, and that inquiry can be happening within us, or it can be happening as we view life as one huge mirror. So we can be looking at something outside ourselves, which is creating an inquiry within us, because really it's really one whole. You know, there was a beautiful comment made to me about, you know, teachers learn off real time from students and then reflect it back, and life being this huge mirror is constantly reflecting it back to us as to who we actually are. And if we allow ourselves to be like that, what we'll find is, if we allow ourselves to be as that, we'll find that sometimes inquiry can happen within, and sometimes it could be happening supposedly outside when we are in a situation, or you know, we're communicating with someone or what have you. And I've found that it's really opened up this whole idea of consciousness. It's really opened up what I believe it to be, and I find it's expansive, and it takes up absolutely everything in. It's also made me realize how sometimes when we're communicating about this, we're using such conceptual terms that people will get caught up in the point, or they'll get caught up in the concept and not really look to let the concept go, because we find a certain familiarity and a certain comfort in the words, or a certain way of being, or a certain way of talking or speaking. And it's whether, again, you know, as I was saying earlier on, we can look at this idea that's comforting us and look to step beyond that and constantly be in that uncomfortableness, so that we are constantly revealing ourselves to ourselves. And what we find then after a while is that, you know, a lot of our emotions, a lot of our triggers, a lot of our stories, a lot of our beliefs just tend to lose any real value, and don't seem to bother us as much as they used to. And as I said, I mean, that's something I've been seeing over the last couple of months in terms of insights that have been happening with me, in interactions with friends who've been appearing, interactions with newer people coming into my life. So you can almost on a moment by moment basis see where you are, you know, what's actually occurring in your life. And yes, it can be uncomfortable, but then when we accept as is, the uncomfortableness disappears, and whatever occurs, and there is a trusting in that. And we find that our real home, our real state is this place of not knowing. And in this not knowing, we're so much more. You know, we're not this limited idea that we're trying so hard to defend, because we feel it gives us security, and it gives us this false idea of and false sense of comfort. And yes, it served us, but if there's a resistance there, if we're not happy, then maybe we need to look at why we're holding on to something that doesn't make us happy. And if we can let go and just dive into that ocean of consciousness, we may find that we're, this diving, as we meet that ocean, we realize nobody actually dived in, that we were always this ocean. And that's freeing, and it's a wonderful place to be. I'm really enjoying not really knowing what's going to happen next, and not knowing how I'm going to describe what's going on or point. And sometimes the videos flow and sometimes they don't, and sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't, but that's life in its truest, most beautiful sense of the word. So I suppose that's what I want to say about that. I'm enjoying the feedback that I'm getting from people watching these videos. It's really creating a conversation. It's really making me think as well, for which I'm really, really grateful. There's some wonderful questions I get asked at talks and via email and through social media as well. And it's really, again, appearing as external influences, but it's really just me meeting myself. And it is also really deepening this acceptance, and really accepting to the point where there is no one that's accepting, because we realize that there is no apparent subject and object here. There isn't anybody who could accept here. And then there's just life in the truest sense of the word. So thank you for watching the video till the end. If you have any ideas or any feedback or any ideas for future videos, please do get in contact and let me know. There is a list that's slowly but surely building, and I promise I'll get myself to sit down and record all of those in a batch or something. But at this moment in time, I feel it's really important just to be kind of sharing whatever insights are coming up, whether it's with myself or whether it's within talks or with conversations with friends, because it is an interesting time, and it's got its ups and downs, but there is an acceptance now, and in that acceptance there's an ease, and there's an appreciation of other facets now of life, which consequently allows us to really see life as it actually is. So thank you so much for watching till the end of the video, and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.